Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and last year I reset this 20-gallon tank. This is a 20-gallon tank that's been a lot of different interesting projects, a lot of experimental kind of both aquascaping and filtration projects happening in this 20-gallon. But last year when I reset it, I called the video an Anoxic experiment. And that's because for one of the first times ever I'd implemented a plenum or an under gravel filter into one of my filtration methods. Before I go any further, I'd like to take a quick shout out to my Patreon followers, past, present, and future. What you've done for me is help this show remain independent, let me do things that I don't necessarily have sponsors for, let me explore the aquarium hobby, and allow me to explain it to more people. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I not only did an under gravel filter, but I did kitty litter to kind of lock it all in and stuff. And I have to say, going in, it was a lot of fun to set it all up. It was kind of fun to do it in such a different way. But I didn't have high hopes of it like really showing me a lot of difference. I kind of suspected it would. I mean, the science behind it sounds compelling. I've heard a lot of arguments going kind of both ways as far as what's better and what isn't. A lot of well-meaning people, provided links and stuff. You should know that anybody that, if you post links and comments, it immediately goes to the spam. I've just had way too many kind of crazy things posted in my comments, and I can't allow links like that. But a lot of times when people have posted links to try and inform me about what they feel is the truth behind Anoxic filtration, and I'll go and follow up on those, there are some compelling arguments going both ways. But I think for me, I'm using it in combination with a lot of different things, and it would be really hard for me to isolate what part of it is doing the most work or making the process the most efficient. What I can say is I've had absolutely no harm done to the tank. In fact, it's flourished with the new setup to a degree that I didn't really expect. Now, what you're seeing right here next to me is actually a little bit of a cleaned up version. I'm going to take you back to what this tank looked like about a day ago. When I decided to come deal with it. See, the thing is, I'd let this tank sit, and it's been a zero maintenance tank. Like literally, I'll take out a little bit of water and I fill up some water every now and then, like maybe once a month for a water change. I haven't overly populated this tank with fish. In fact, a couple of fish have died out, and of course dealt with that. But for the most part, I'm stocked with a lot of the stuff that I was left with at the end of that video. I've got a couple of grommies in here, some honey grommies. I've got some cherry barbs. These are the cherry barbs that were with me at work when I got furloughed, and I brought them back from that Kevin tank, that 5-gallon I used to have at work. I've got an auto sinkless in here, and I've got a Siamese algae eater. A lot of these, and I also have one female endler. I don't know how this random female endler ended up in here, but she's got it made with no males or anything. Everybody seems to be doing okay. I think my honey grommies are starting to get a little old, and it probably would be a good idea to maybe add some more fish in here. But the tank's been so easy to take care of. I don't think about it as much as I do the other ones. I just get to admire it every so often. I just want to take you through like maybe what a typical maintenance thing would be. Now this is a little bit atypical because this is the kind of maintenance you might do after, I don't know, 3 or 4 months of not trimming any plants and just letting everything go. But there was a little bit of a cleanup to do. I did want to clean it up a little bit before I gave it its little 1-year anniversary video. All right, so the first thing I did is to take out this. This is a red root floater, and it grows very prolifically, and I actually throw quite a bit of it away. I've considered composting or maybe kind of doing other more practical things with it, but I'm embarrassed to say that I do throw an embarrassing amount of this in the garbage. So it was a great investment of the maybe $5 to $7 I think I spent for a portion of this, and I've got it, you know, for life. It really does grow super fast, and it's great for removing the nitrates and kind of creating dark environments and stuff inside of here. It's done really well working in combination with abuse to kind of keep the abuse growing and stuff the way I like. I seem to always get a bunch of algae problems and stuff on there because it does grow incredibly slow underwater. I think just about all abuse in the wild is not underwater all the time, but these species have been adapted to water. So I want to make sure that they stay looking good. And so while I wait very patiently for them to grow and become really big specimens, I want to make sure they're as algae free as possible, and keeping that little cap, this little layer on top has helped a lot, I think, in kind of keeping that algae at bay. We've got a couple of plants in here. Here's a plant that I've kind of, I guess neglected is the only way to put it. This has grown up and it's just become sort of a top plant now. Really the only feasible part of a plant like this is going to be the very top of it, so you can trim it up here and then replant it into there, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take this here. Now if I was really trying to get more plants, I could leave that and just bury this next to it, and I would just have, you know, more plants. So wait for that to grow out, clip it again and get some more or something like that. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out, the rest of this out, and then I'm going to plant this in its place. And it just pulls right out because there's barely anything attached to it. But I'm also getting some, like here's some buse that I've pulled up along with it. I'll have to replant that. Here's kind of a nice little piece that I could, you know, I could throw in there with the rest of that. Yeah, the rest of this is kind of junky anyway. A lot of vine, not a lot of leaves. So all this stuff right at the top will look great, and then eventually we'll grow up to the top, and then I'll have to clip it and do that again. But that little head chopping maneuver is you do over and over again. I'm just going to plunge that right back into here. And I've also got a lot of Vesuvius sword, which can get really difficult to maintain and keep looking clean. It has all these runners, and the runners almost never go into substrate and run that way. They all run on top of the water, so you got them just kind of floating everywhere. So the best thing I can think of to do is I just try to anchor them. So I want to see if I can get under this little patch here. I'm going to just try to run them along this wall. Run that runner all the way under through here. Just kind of put it above the substrate and hope the roots take hold, and it kind of drags itself in there. As for these like little mother plants that kind of came up when I was pulling on the other one, I'll just kind of reinsert them over here and hope that they enjoy that where I've just placed them. Every now and then I'll have to kind of go into this sponge filter, which has this plant on top of it, which is just kind of nuts. It's going everywhere. It really is a great way to hide this filter, though. I mean, like looking down from the top, it's just all plant. I let it grow all the way over the top. I never pull this filter out. This aquarium does get kind of a triple filter. It's got the sort of anoxic thing going, and by the way, that tube turned bright white, but still you can't see it too bad, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, you got that going into there, and then you got the canister filter coming out the top. You can't even hardly see the pipe under all these little plants and stuff. Maintenance for this tank is pretty easy. Normally just consists of a water change, about 20% water change. I've been slacking since I've been back at work. And I'm not doing it quite as often as I used to, so usually it's about once a month I'll come up and do this, but I have let it go much longer, as much as 2 months. It starts looking kind of dingy if I go a little bit too long, and that's usually just the glass. Like, I don't see algae on the inside. I don't see a bunch of other problematic things happening. Nothing really bad happening inside of there. but it's filtered. I mean, it's over filtered. It's got the plants, it's got the corner filter, it's got the sponge filter, it's got the Anoxic filtration going on inside of the under gravel filter there, with and the cat litters in there absorbing things as well. So it's covered. I've been too lazy to test the nitrates and stuff to kind of see maybe if I even really need to do water changes and stuff. And what I do need to do is I do need to get the CO2 working again. So I haven't decided if I'm going to go the DIY route and I'm going to do DIY CO2 here or just get my can refilled. But that's going to come back. I'm going to have to do CO2 again just to get these plants growing again. And get them a little bit, they're not in bad shape now, but they do, some of them seem like they're a little dormant. I'd like to kind of like see if adding some CO2 in here could kind of just spark that up again and get it growing really well. I've enjoyed it being nice and calm in here, not with a super large amount of growth or anything, and not much to trim, and no algae to clean, more importantly. But that being said, some of the abuse, it looks like the leaves are curling a bit, and that could be maybe in need of some sort of supplement, or just CO2. Just imagine a little CO2 in there does a lot. So we'll see. What I've been doing is I was waiting on the 43 gallons CO2 tank to run down, and I thought maybe what I would do is I'd just go get them both topped off at the same time. But the 43 gallons really taking its time. And the things in here, I mean, what I've noticed is I think some of my abuse plants, the plants in here, there's quite a variety of plants in here, from 4-leaf clover to Monte Carlo, a lot of different kinds of abuse. I think I did an unboxing from abuseplant.com last year around this time, or a little bit, yeah, maybe a little closer to December. And I put some more abuse in here. A lot of it I was just storing for the 43 gallon downstairs that I eventually made. But I did keep a lot. I mean, this tank has a lot of abuse in it. We got some 4-leaf clover, Monte Carlo. I got Vesuvius sword over here. I've got another plant I can't remember the name of. It's one of the new plants that I added when I was plant shopping. I think it's interesting too that all the driftwood that I've added has turned almost black. It's gotten so dark and so black. So for filtration on here, of course, I've got the under gravel filter, and it's plumbed up through this white hose here into this corner filter, and then it goes to a canister filter. Now the canister and that tubing are not connected. It's just kind of provides a pathway for things from there to get into here. There are a lot of questions about whether or not there would be enough suction on that hose to bring anything from there, and I believe so. The point isn't for there to be a steady flow through there, just a small amount of flow. And thermal dynamics will take care of a lot of that, because what's going to happen is things will decompose and heat up. And as things heat up, they'll rise through that hose and come right out. This could come down to just like an optimization, like maybe you want a little bit more suction or a little bit less, and I'm not sure what the benefits of either would be. I toyed around with like doing some different things to kind of just suck directly out of that hose and stuff, but I could even actually pull it off of that filter, put something directly on it and suck it out. But I haven't felt compelled to do that, and I haven't seen anything really nasty going on in here, so I've just kind of let it be, and it seems to be doing great. So again, it's not a solely Anoxic filtration. We've got a canister filter, we've got plants, and we've got the corner filter, as well as the under gravel filter and the cat litter layer and stuff. That all of those things kind of working in combination together to filter the aquarium. My coloration looks great. I've got 0 hair algae in this tank, which is that has been really tough for me to achieve in the past, with the same tank and the same substrate and everything else being the same. I do tend to let the plants across the top like really take over and stuff. It gets to the point where there could be like suffocating the tank a bit, because that stuff will grow until there's no oxygen left. And because of that, I've gotten maybe some weird retarded growth in some of the Buse plants. I see some of the, looks like their leaves are kind of like a little wrinkly and crinkly and stuff. So I probably could stand to get some more light in here by not letting the build up so much across the top. So I've got no plans to break this tank down or anything. I think the most I want to do is I'm thinking about switching out the hose that you can see here with glass. This background's frosted. It's got some colored lights and stuff that I still have going from the original like Into the Woods setup. But you can see this hose now, and I'm not really liking the way that looks, so I'm going to see if I can fix that. I also got the DIY CO2 canister that I showed a couple of weeks ago. I have ordered a solenoid. I found out you could buy the solenoid separately, so I purchased that. It's on its way here. I want to assemble all of that together and maybe do DIY CO2 on here, and then I'll just have 2 tanks for downstairs so I never run out on the 43 gallon, or put CO2 on something else. So that's all I got going on for this one, but be sure to tune in next week. I've got a really cool project. It's about 2 years in the making, and I put it together last week, and it is glorious. Of course, we're going to move on to the dirted tank, which is looking better and better now each day. I'm glad I just kind of waited it out a little bit because it's getting, I'm seeing some progress. And I actually bought another light just for it. So I got another light to talk about. That's what I got lined up over the next couple of weeks. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and click that thumb if you enjoyed this video. It really helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. Okay, folks, I'll see you next week. Until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.